Hello guys and welcome to my video on the upcoming housing/balance patch that ESO released on the PTS just a couple days ago. So, housing has been added to ESO in this patch. Check it out, guys. The thing to take home here is the infinite and endless creativity that we will have in these houses. I mean, I built a bridge out of random crap just to kind of sit in the air somewhere else. But it's not super creative, but my point here is that people will be able to build all kinds of cool stuff from thousands of different movable and interactable objects. So I cannot wait to see what people come up with. Something else that's really awesome about this patch, big time awesome actually, is you can now create crafting stations in your house. What's really cool about it is that you're not limited to just one crafting station in your house. You could potentially have every single crafting station in the game in your home. And I think that's something really cool. So let's move on. So what I did in this video is I'm just kind of running through all the different houses in the game. I picked my personal favorite house. If you guys would like to know which house I'm looking at as we kind of go through it here, I'm going to have links in the description telling you which house we're running through at this certain time. It's also going to give you a price gauge on the house as well, so you know how much it's going to cost if you want to buy this home for yourself. So as we take some tours through here, let's discuss what happened balance-wise. So I think we're going to start with probably the biggest one here, Magicka Steel. Magicka Templar got probably one of the most massive buffs that they've gotten yet. And Magicka Templar's gotten a lot of buffs in the past before, but the big one we're looking at here, guys, is the Magicka Templar Magicka Steel buff. Yes, they did take a little bit of a Radiant nerf. They took a 20% damage to the Radiant, which is sounds like quite a bit, but Radiant Destruction is a really powerful skill. I'm not too concerned with 20% making that skill obsolete. But that Magicka Steel buff, plus the Frost Staff. Frost Staff also one of the biggest changes here. So one thing that I think we'll see in this new coming patch is a prevalence of the Frost Staff Magicka Templar, using that Magicka to stay alive, using Magicka Steel, Channeled Focus, and then blocking on the Frost Staff almost indefinitely just off their Magicka bar. If you guys don't know what's been changed, the Frost Staff has now been changed so that when you block with a Frost Staff out, it actually costs you Magicka instead of stamina to block. This is kind of a big deal. It really changes how Frost Staff works as a weapon and how it kind of affects everything in this game. I think one thing that we can expect is to see a big prevalence of block builds in this coming patch, Magicka or Stamina, maybe even using both their Magicka and Stamina pools to block. So that was a fairly interesting change to note there. What else happened? Well, DK's got changed a little bit. Number one, the DK chain move now gives you 8 seconds of mobility as opposed to the 2 seconds that it used to give. That's really good. The DK lacks mobility, so I think that was a really good change. The whip got buffed a little bit, and what happened to their heal? Well, coagulating blood got changed so that it scales off of your missing Magicka in your Magicka pool. What does this mean for DK? Well, if you play a tankier DK with a low Magicka pool, it won't be very useful for you. But if you play a DPS-based Dragon Knight that doesn't have a whole bunch of sustain, this is going to be an incredibly powerful heal for your build. This mixed with a powerful damage shield, which also directly scales off your max Magicka, really opens up kind of a new niche of build crafting for DKs. You can build a really powerful, like, damage-based Magicka DK, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how this kind of plays out in the upcoming patch. It's something we'll have to keep our eyes open for once this patch hits. The Dragon Knight Standard also took a little bit of a nerf in this patch. The damage and the damage reduction that it gives you on Standard of Might was toned down. Was that a good decision? I don't know, but whatever. We'll move on, I guess. Let's talk about Sork. What happened to Sork this patch? Well, Stamina Sork took a bit of a nerf. Hurricane was debuffed. It now only goes up to 150% increased damage as opposed to the 225. I think this is a good idea. Hurricane was a very strong move. It could also proc Implosion, making it a little bit too deadly for my taste. Magicka Sork, on the other end, lost their ability to use their Velocious Curse. Velocious Curse has been changed into an ability called Haunting Curse, and the way that this will work is that it will not have the decreased time that Velocious Curse does of 3.5 seconds before it explodes. Instead, it will stay with that 6 seconds before it explodes and then reapply itself after the initial explosion. So, what does this mean for Magicka Sork Burst? Well, obviously the burst on the Magicka Sork is going to be affected by this change. Curse is just not going to be as good for bursting as quickly as it used to be, but it'll still be a good ability to burst though, because it will still deal a lot of damage. You just have to wait the full 6 seconds, and it'll also give a lot of leeway for anything that's running a purge to be able to actually purge that curse off. Something else to kind of keep in mind about this ability is that Curse is an AoE, so I can see this ability being very useful if you're fighting a lot of enemies to put curses on a bunch of multiple different enemies. Not only will they explode, dealing AoE damage to each other, but they'll rearm themselves afterwards and explode again. So you could potentially put a lot of pressure on a larger group of players if you use this curse right against them. But for one-on-one, this curse took a pretty serious nerf in my opinion. And finally for Sorks, guys, pets got buffed a lot. Their HP got doubled and their armor got doubled. That's pretty much what happened. So your pets will be much more durable than they are right now. Pet Sorks, rejoice. If you don't play a pet Sork, not a big deal for you. Let's keep going. So let's talk a little bit now about Nightblades. What did Nightblades get changed? Well, not a lot happened to Nightblades, honestly. Swallow Soul got its cost increased by a little bit. Not really a huge deal. That ability was super cheap to begin with. Nightblade also has siphoning attacks. I don't think that's going to be too much of a big deal for Nightblades. It maybe will affect the really glass cannon, high-end damage Nightblades that have 0 sustain, but for the most part, I can't see that being. Relentless Focus has been changed to a physical type attack that will scale off your maximum stamina and max weapon damage, whereas Merciless Resolve will now be scaled off of your max magicka and your spell damage. So it kind of just separated those two into a stamina-based or a magicka-based morph. Relentless Focus is also going to cost you maximum stamina. And finally, the last kind of little bit of balancing that we're going to talk about class-wise, this isn't super related to the class, but Vampirism, Clouding Swarm got changed, so it's now a gap closer, as in you use it and you spam it on a target and it'll keep gap closing you into the target. So it works kind of like ambush, but for anybody now. So I don't know how I feel about this change personally. I really did love old Clouding Swarm for the invisibility, but you know, I guess it is how it is. Something else to mention is Undaunted has minor lifesteal now through the Blood Altar ability. That's kind of a big deal. So anyone that stands in your Blood Altar will be affected by the minor lifesteal, and you can steal life from them as you attack them. And then, guys, we got a lot of other little changes. There's master crafting writs that are going to be a lot more difficult than a normal writ to create, but you're going to be able to get lots of cool rewards off that. We had a bunch of new motifs added. Ebony is one of them if you're looking to get it. And then finally, Fang Rush Rejoice for AoE caps have been lifted. Now, they haven't been fully lifted. The way that it works is if you hit over 6 targets, the other targets will take a little bit less damage depending on how many more there are on the screen. But the point is here that AoE caps have been lifted so that if you pop an AoE in the middle of 15 guys, it's actually going to hit all 15 guys, and you're going to get whatever benefit you would get for hitting 15 players with that AoE. So that's kind of the big point here. Hello, sap tanking might make a comeback. So there you have it, guys. That is kind of my impressions of this balance patch. I absolutely love the housing update. I think it's really cool. The balance patch itself, we talked a little bit about what got changed. I'd like to hear your guys' opinions. What do you think about the changes in the balance patch, and how do you feel like they will affect the game, and will we be taking steps in the right direction in ESO? I think that's the big question here. Are we going to take the steps in the right direction towards bringing this game to a state of balance? Only time will tell, guys. Only time will tell. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. I hope you enjoyed checking out some of these cool new houses. I'll give you guys a little bit of a warning. They're very, very expensive to buy, especially the big ones. So save up your monies. I really hope you guys liked the video. Feel free to hit that like and or subscribe button if you did. And I'll see you next time.